Newstalk ZB.
Just in from Hungary, Orban has suggested or conceded defeat. So Magyar is your new leader of Hungary, and it looks to be at this stage like a two-thirds majority as well. So that particular tide has well and truly gone in and gone out. Now, the Prime Minister back here is with us. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Good to be with you.
Times they are a-changing. Elbow and Wong in Singapore. So the big thing that came out of that for me was that Singapore appears to have almost guaranteed an ongoing level of supply. Do we, whether it be through Singapore or Korea or anybody else, combination of, have a similar sort of supply? And you can tell us this morning that we're going to be okay for fuel.
Yeah, look, in Singapore we have a very similar arrangement. Just remember, the Australians didn't have the arrangements that we had set up at the end of last year. So we moved to what's called a comprehensive strategic partnership. A piece of that was these essential supplies agreement that we put in place. We put real teeth around that, and we're already operating under that. I go to Singapore May 1 to sign that. You've got to remember, the Australians didn't have that agreement. We wanted always to make sure that we could get fuel and pharmaceuticals in a crisis. And if you're Singapore, what do they want from New Zealand? They want food, and we've got plenty of it. So, that's the nature of our agreement. We've been operating as if that's passed at the end of last year. We'll formalise it on May 1. But in my conversations with Prime Minister Wong, it's the same commitment.
Okay, having said, and you won't criticise Albanese for obvious reasons, but he seems to have made a pig's ear of this. He's handing out billions of dollars he doesn't have. He's scrambling to sign deals he didn't do. They look to be troubled, if not problematic.
Look, I think we had an advantage in the sense of we had higher levels of stocks of all fuels in the country. We've probably been 10 to 15 days higher in some ways on those different fuel types. We have the simplicity of one national government, and we put an immediate team together on day one. We brought in on day one all the industry as well, so we've had long-standing understanding of where they actually are and all their future orders, and there's no risk at all at this point around any of that. In fact, that's looking, the refineries are finding alternative sources of crude. And then obviously, we've had a comprehensive strategic partnership with Singapore, and we've had this essential suppliers agreement in place. So I've spoken to the South Korean president as well. Their refineries, essentially what happens, Mike, is if they get most of their stuff out of the Middle East, they now start sourcing more from, say, the US and Suriname and Peru and Chile and Oman and other places. It might be more expensive, but at least they can keep those refineries pumping, which is what we then get down here.
Do we then need these ticket swaps deals that you talked about a week and a half or so ago?
Yeah, look, there's two parts to that. One is I'd really like to explore whether there's, we've got high levels of inventory in the country. I think we're 53 to 63 days today of where we sit on the three different fuel types. But what we really want is additional diesel supply above and beyond that. We've accelerated the tank up at Marsden Point. It'll be built and completed in 7 weeks. And as a result, we want to get additional diesel into that. And that will be what's called an unsolicited bid. And so we're evaluating some of those.
Where is that at? Because you started talking about that almost 2 weeks ago.
Well, more to say about it shortly, but suffice to say, conversations are moving.
Do you have a deal?
Well, when we have one confirmed with proper commercial contract signed, but I'm telling you, we've got good conversations.
What's the problem? Is it about price? Because I'm assuming you're paying them.
No. Well, it's just about actually how you make the deal work and confidence that this is truly additional supply, which it is. You want to work with a provider that you can actually make sure that you trust, and you don't want to be in the world of lots of oil traders and those. Not? No, we want to work with really reputable.
No, I know you do, but are some of the people who have approached us cowboys?
There will have been what we call more fuel traders rather than those that are actually fuel importers, and so we want to work with reputable folk that can help us build out that supply.
Okay, so what's the time frame on the announcement of that?
It'll be within a week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I take from it,
so that's good. I mean, that's just adding us additionality and an insurance policy, right?
So what I want to know is we're fine.
Yeah, we are.
We will get through this without a problem.
There is no risk to, when we talk to the importers, no risk to their future orders. They're all highly confident as they get into May, into late May even, and even beyond. So, the refineries are finding alternative sources of crude. It is coming at a price, obviously, which is a challenge for everybody. We get that. But my God, if we lose supply, that's the biggest 100%. Problem we've got.
Speaking of which, you've been meeting, or your government's been meeting with business CEOs about, potential support, the cost of diesel, moving stuff around the economy. The headline I read, they had been heard. Are we basically, what I'm asking, are we through this? In other words, you did what you did as far as handing out $50 a week There is no more. You've talked to all the people we need to. Let's be optimistic. The war broadly is finished. They'll cut some sort of deal eventually.
I think the thing I've tried to do from day one is the mistake of COVID was it was parent-child. The government happened to industry and didn't really listen to industry very well, and I've wanted it to be kind of adult. And the industry has a lot of the solution, and we need them to actually develop, to deliver the solution should we get ourselves into phase 3 and 4. Now, we hope never to go there. If we do our job right in phase 1 and 2, that would be good. So, we've asked them to come back to all the practical things that they know are just nuts out there that stops them, that could end up saving fuel, conserving fuel, and they've come back with some really good ideas and thoughts that'll be seminal in all of that thinking as we shape out phases 3 and 4 should we ever need to get there. So I'm proud of that fact because that was one of the big mistakes in COVID. It happened to industry. They didn't actually work with industry.
No.
And I think we've got a good plan.
But 3 and 4 we're not going to.
Well, we don't want to go.
Well, I know you don't want to, but we're not, aren't we? I mean, surely you can be more optimistic.
The only thing I can be sure, Mike, is that this conflict is highly volatile, highly unpredictable.
Is it?
There are low levels of trust between the parties.
Yes, there is, but here's what I see. We've been here before, haven't we, between the States and Iran? The talks will go on for months. They will open the strait in one way, shape or form over the next week, if not month or so, and life broadly will be back to normal.
Well, that's what we hope to. Whether it gets fully back to the rate of ships moving through that Hormuz Strait, it's 130 a day, I think. If they can get back to that would be very helpful. That's what we all wish for. But I have to be quite prudent and responsible and plan for a world where some other unforeseen issue happens that causes grief.
India, there's an open letter this morning from half the business community. I mean, this is stupid, isn't it? We got to a point where this is just plain stupid.
Well, it's just like I think you and I talked about this before. I mean, this Indian FTA, when we go forward 10 years from now, we are not going to regret this in one bit. And when you see what it does for kiwi fruit and apples and wine and I think I told you, but we used to have 90% of the lamb market in India. Australia does a free trade deal and our lamb market share goes down to 8%, less than 10% of what it once was, because we're just so uncompetitive.
But why can't Hipkin see that?
Well, I hope he does. I hope he does, because I wouldn't want to be the person roaming around regional New Zealand saying, I haven't got your logs there or the seafood there or the horticulture there or more lamb and even, we've got more dairy than's ever been done before in a country with India as well.
I understand Peters, I disagree with him because he's a xenophobe, but at least he's I don't know, concrete in his view. Yep. Hipkin seems to be playing games.
Well, it shouldn't be political, right? It's a Kiwi thing. It's actually not to do with national or Labour or left or right or any of that stuff. It's actually about what is the right thing to do for New Zealand. And that's why on every other trade agreement you've seen bipartisan support. When Labour couldn't pass the CPTPP because they the Greens wouldn't support them in government, we stepped up and supported them as we should have, because actually it's just a good deal and it's a good arrangement for New Zealand to have. And man, in times like this, when you've got a real crisis going on, you want as much optionality as to where you can send your products as possible.
Without boring the whole country, what's this Auckland City deal about? I think
most people.
Tangible comes out of this?
Yeah, no, there will be. I think if you just go back over the last 30 years, it's been a punch and Judy show between central and local government. Yes. Frankly, they're not aligned. They're not on the same pages. They do stuff to each other. It's just counterproductive. And the ratepayer is the taxpayer. So what this is saying is, look, can we just work together in a more coherent, strategic way where we're more aligned? So some examples. Eden Park has had a bunch load of really confining bylaws and whole things that have built up over 30 years. We've worked with the council on that. They've been really supportive of us busting all of that up, and we've done that together. If you think about the massive investments on CRL and on the New Zealand International Convention Centre, we know we need to densify above those transport hubs, and we're very aligned on getting on with that job. And if you think about it, Mike, I have seen, I think, at least 2 goes of harbour crossings across Auckland, dumped in by central governments of different sizes. The council never saw them, never asked about them. What you get is some lovely glossy A3 pictures for a tunnel or a bridge that was supposed to have been built in 2020. It never happened. No. So I think there's a really good way we can work together as partners, as we should, like this.
Do you think we'll ever learn as a country? The Sustainable Energy Association wants you to kill the LNG deal. Have we learned out of this war? Nothing. Like literally nothing.
It's an and. We want energy security in this country. So yes, I have put 1.2 million tonnes of coal behind Huntly so that if we get a dry year, we've got 4 months worth of supply and people aren't going to pay out through the nose with high prices. That's what happened in 2024, thanks to Labor's failed policy, which was all just 100% renewables. But you get a dry year risk, and people lose their jobs because mills get closed and big heavy industry.
Yeah.
So,
do you worry? I don't know who the Sustainable Energy Association are, but do you worry that there's a not insignificant number of people in this country that don't actually want us to do well?
Well, it's just frustrating in the sense of energy security is critical to economic security, even more so in the New World Order.
Really?
In combat to AI. So you want to get kind of organised on that. We have actually some really good natural advantages going for us in New Zealand. We're running at, we had less emissions coming out of this economy in the last quarter than we've had since it's been recorded since 2010. Why? Because we've got a massive renewables boom going on. Why? Because fast track and things like that actually get stuff built that ends up powering up stuff. And yes, we want more thermal firming fossil fuel support as well, because they killed gas and we ended up importing huge amounts of Indonesian coal, and that doesn't work for emissions, it doesn't work for the country. So we need an and strategy.
All right, good to see you. Appreciate it. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, 13.2.